Hi, everyone. I'm Nisa, and today we at the Speak Collective are going to be discussing about hormone health. Our hormones have a significant influence over our overall well-being. We may think of hormones affecting us mostly during certain times like puberty, pregnancy, menopause, and of course, when acne decides to make a special appearance on our faces during our periods, when actually hormones play a big role in our daily lives, influencing things like hunger and even sleep cycle. My guest today, Chelsea Ward, is a certified hormone specialist, and she's here to help us gain some understanding about hormonal health and how it can improve our quality of life. Chelsea, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin by telling us about yourself. What is your background in health and wellness?
I work with women and helping them resolve their hormonal imbalances naturally, so through nutrition and lifestyle. So this can be women who are maybe suffering with really chronic periods like period pain or really bad PMS. Or it can be things like missing periods, or a lot of the time I focus on working with women who have come off hormonal birth control and are struggling with the side effects of post-birth control syndrome. So again, that can be like hormonal acne is quite a bad one, missing periods, having really bad periods, but also really bad mood swings and that kind of stuff. And I take a very holistic view of the person. I look at the person as a whole, and we look at ways of reducing symptoms through nutrition and just lifestyle, things like managing stress.
You did mention a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Would that be the biggest difference between your approach to health as opposed to a normal Western conventional medicine doctor?
Yes. Yeah. So for with a doctor, for example, if you were missing your period, what they might do is offer you synthetic hormones that will try and stimulate your period, or they might even say you need to lose weight, but they won't tell you exactly how to do that, or they'll just say, here's what's wrong with you, or like, here's some medicine or something to cure you. Mm-hmm. Whereas what I do is look at ways of incorporating a more beneficial lifestyle and tailoring it to the person specifically, because what lifestyle might suit one person, it's not going to suit another person. And it's more about, looking at the person as a whole, looking at their stress levels. And I have an incredibly close one-to-one relationship with my clients. Whereas the doctor, you tend to only see them for maybe 10, 15 minutes at a time. I have a much more in-depth one-to-one relationship with my clients.
And what is a hormone imbalance, and what can the symptoms look like?
Sure. So the way I like to think of hormones, like you said earlier, hormones we sometimes only really associate them with our menstrual cycle. Because as women, that's kind of when we have our hormonal fluctuations. But your hormones dictate literally everything you do, think, and feel. So it dictates your weight, it dictates, like I said, your level of hunger, your mood that day. It can dictate so much about you. So a hormone imbalance, the way I like to think about it is your hormones are like an orchestra and they're all working together. Now, if that orchestra works perfectly, then it sounds amazing, great. However, if one of the instruments is out of tune or not playing in time, although it's there, it's doing its job, the rest of it all sounds awful after that point. So a hormone imbalance is kind of like that. Although you could still be functioning normally or to a level of normality, you will notice symptoms like mood swings, having really low moods, weight gain, and inability to lose weight is quite a big one. A lot of my clients really struggle, especially around their abdomen area and around their hips. That can be a really big sign of a hormonal imbalance if you really struggle to lose weight around that area or store fat in that area. Like I said before, really painful periods is a really common one, and just having really chronic PMS, but not PMS to the point where we, normally experience, I have my period, I feel a bit low, or I feel a bit, low energy, it's, you know, it's really impacting your day-to-day life, where it's affecting your relationships, you're having to miss work, you become a completely different person around your period. Again, yes, it can come out as hormonal acne. I mean, there is just such a varying degree of symptoms it can be, but those tend to be the common ones.
It doesn't just affect women, isn't it? Because sometimes the term hormonal is synonymous with being moody, and that's typically associated with, oh, it's a women's issue because she must be PMSing.
Yeah, I mean, for men as well, it's completely the same. Their hormones dictate everything they do, think and feel. It's, you know, so it's definitely not a woman specific issue, no.
And what kind of tests are available to see if someone has a hormonal imbalance?
Sure. So I do various tests with my clients. So one of the big ones I like to test for is inflammation in the body. So high inflammation can actually indicate that can cause other issues like hormonal imbalances in the body. Also, I like to do a cortisol test. So cortisol is your stress hormone, but what a lot of women with hormonal imbalances can suffer with is cortisol dysregulation. So what should happen is in the morning, your stress levels or your cortisol levels should be higher, and they should kind of peter out as the day goes on. And then when you go to sleep, you should be able to sleep and not have high levels of stress hormones. However, a lot of women with hormonal imbalances will suffer with this cortisol dysregulation. So I like to test their cortisol throughout the day and check when their levels are highest and not highest, because that could be something that's really impacting, yeah, like I said, their sleep and their other hormones as well. The other thing I like to test for is the relation of estrogen to progesterone. So those estrogen and progesterone are probably the hormones that everyone knows, because those are your period hormones. So a lot of women will suffer with much higher levels of estrogen to progesterone, or just having excess estrogen. So I like to see the ratio between those two. And then testosterone and androgens in the body as well is a really good one, because higher levels of testosterone and androgens in the body can cause infertility and also hormonal acne. And they can also really contribute to having like an irregular cycle.
So I have eczema. And people keep telling, the understandings that you have to know your triggers, you have to know what sets eczema off. And personally, I found that it usually gets worse for me just about a week to 10 days before my period. And it's very obvious for me. And I realized like, oh, actually, it's hormonal related for myself.
Yeah.
How much of skin issues today do you think are hormonally related?
I think quite a lot. I mean, a lot of the women that I work with, and when you see it in the media and that kind of stuff as well, is where we all have these hormonally driven skin issues where around our period or near our period, we will have flare-ups, acne. I think definitely a lot of it is driven. And I think when you work with someone one-on-one and you get an idea of their lifestyle, or you get an idea of their other symptoms, because when I work with my clients, we do in-depth health assessments to determine what could be causing the problems. And then based on that, we then get the blood work done. But I think when you work with a client and then they're struggling with skin issues, but then you look at the other issues they're struggling with, it's quite easy to see that it's kind of a whole thing, umbrella of issues.
Yeah.
Not just, oh, I have skin issues, but I also have these period issues as well. Or so I think definitely a lot of it is driven by hormones. And I think definitely living and eating in a way to support your hormones is definitely something you can do to reduce your skin issues.
In your teenage years is when you would typically have acne because of the changes of puberty and things like that, when the truth is I'm in my 30s and I still get hormonal acne. So why do so many adults struggle with adult acne?
I think there is a lot of, we are very unaware as a society, as a population as a whole, of what we're actually putting on our bodies and putting into our bodies. In terms of like skincare, beauty products, and as well as food. We consume a lot of toxic food, or food that is not, it's not real food effectively. And what that can do is cause inflammation in your body. And if your body's inflamed, it completely messes with your and that can be what can lead you to have excess estrogen, or excess progesterone, or excess testosterone, all of which can cause your body to create excess sebum, which then leads to acne. But also, if you're putting all these toxic products on your skin, your body only has a finite capacity of what it can manage. So if you're putting toxic products on your skin, drinking loads of coffee, eating loads of processed food, and also alcohol, it doesn't have the capacity to also be like, okay, so I've got to sort out all of this, but try and manage your hormones at the same time and do all this. And the way that can be prevalent is if having breakouts in your body, or bad body odor, that as well can be quite prevalent, that you're maybe having a bit of an issue with the toxicity level in your body. But I think mainly one of the biggest problems with today with adult acne, or people suffering with skin issues, is that we are just so unaware of what we are actually putting into our body. And I think diet culture has kind of messed with what we view as healthy now. So I'll have a lot of clients that will come to me who say they eat really healthily. They'll be, no, I eat really healthily. I've got no idea what's wrong. I don't understand why I've got all these issues. And then I look at what they're actually eating, and I'm like, yes, you're eating all these protein bars, but I mean, they've got 20 ingredients and 4 of them are actually food. The rest of it, what is it? You know,
things that mask as sugar, right? So,
yes,
yeah.
Sugar is such a killer. There is so much sugar in the food that we eat. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's something that one of the number one things I tell my clients straight away: start reading the ingredients in your food and start looking at how much sugar there is in your food, because you would be amazed at how much sugar there is in things like, you'd buy like ketchup, for example. I know ketchup, you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. No.
Apart from looking at ingredients and just having more awareness about what you're consuming, what are other ways that people can do to support hormonal health?
One of the main things you want to do is support your liver. Your liver is one of the key parts of your body that helps detox your hormones. Like I said before, if you are filling it full of other stuff, it's already busy. It's already trying to get rid of the alcohol, the coffee, the processed food. So eating lots of cruciferous vegetables and leafy greens and things that are high in antioxidants like blueberries are really going to help support your liver and help your detox pathways in your body. Stress management is so key. This is something that I really focus on with my clients. We, in today's society, lead these incredibly high stress lives. And in caveman era, we would have peaks of incredibly high stress that would then peter out quite quickly afterwards, because all we needed to do was run away from things or catch things. Whereas now we live in this society where everyone is constantly on this kind of higher level of stress. And this is how we operate. And high levels of stress hormones in the body, your body only has capacity to make stress hormones properly, or make your female sex hormones properly, and it will always choose stress hormones, because that's how you're going to survive in a fight situation. Your body thinks, okay, stress hormones, that's what we need to make to give them energy to be able to run away from this tiger that's going to try and eat them. Yes, so we live these incredibly high stress lives. Our bodies are constantly producing this stress hormone. It then doesn't have the capacity to produce our female sex hormones adequately, and it also just creates more inflammation in the body as well, which again can lead to skin issues. So stress management is definitely something. Eating foods with a low glycemic index and eating foods that are going to help keep your blood sugar balanced. So the glycemic index is a measure of how much a food will spike your blood sugar. You want to have as balanced blood sugar as possible. So anything with a glycemic score of 55 or less. So that's things like complex carbohydrates, lots of fat, and lots of healthy fats and proteins as well. And then just really paying attention to what you're actually putting into your body, trying to eat as best as you can a whole foods diet. And whole foods doesn't mean sitting there eating copious amounts of broccoli. It just means eating real food. That's all it means. So just trying to eat real food and food that has not been processed as much as possible.
So I guess it's kind of finding that balance in everything.
I always say half an hour, if you can just set aside half an hour a day for stress management. And that doesn't mean sitting there meditating for half an hour. I mean, have a nice bath with some nice bubble bath and some candles, listen to an audiobook for half an hour, just anything that can help you decompress and just make your stress a lot better will have a much better impact on the way you feel in general. And then also paying attention to, like I said, with the food, but also paying attention to what you're putting on your body as well. So things like reading the ingredients in your skincare is really important. I use this app called Think Dirty.
Oh, yes.
It's a great app, yeah. So I always use that to check everything. It's because your skin is one of your biggest organs, and it's absorbent, and you're just giving it basically straight. Whatever you put on your skin gets direct access to your bloodstream, effectively.
So for people who may not have access to hormonal specialists like yourselves in their area, how can they have better conversations to bring this up with their doctors, especially in terms for women? Sometimes it gets passed off, as a non-issue for certain doctors, like, fatigue, especially. How do you explain that in a very conventional medicine sense, right?
Sure.
What's the best way for them to kind of approach some of the conversations about hormonal health with their doctor?
I think if you can try to see a female doctor, if it makes you feel more comfortable, it's a woman. They're going to understand a bit more about what it feels like to have, I don't know, really horrible periods, or they understand what it feels like. And I think you have to be your biggest advocate. You have to, I think a lot of the time we can feel maybe like we are given quick answers by doctors, or, passed off, and you really have to learn to not take no for an answer. You know something is wrong, or you intuitively know that something is going on. You need to be your biggest advocate, and you need to fight your corner and not take no for an answer. I think also, if you're going to go see a doctor about something, keep a journal for like the couple of weeks beforehand of everything that you're experiencing, and go to the doctor and be like, here is my experience, here is a list of the symptoms I'm going through, and actually gives them something a bit better to work off of, as opposed to it also gives you the confidence to actually be able to verbalize what is going on with you, because it can be quite intimidating sometimes going to see medical professionals, and if you don't feel like they're taking you seriously, you feel like maybe your problems aren't real or important enough. So having the evidence and the backup to go with you can be really helpful. But I think my main advice is you have to be your biggest advocate. You have to fight your corner. And if you know something's not right, you have to just keep pushing. I've had a lot of clients, especially clients who have got missing periods, they just don't have periods, who have been turned away or poo-pooed, and it's not that important, you'll be okay, pregnant, don't worry about it. And you have to just keep going back, go see a different doctor. If that doctor doesn't work for you, ask to see a different doctor, and you have to keep pushing until you get the answers you need. Definitely.
That's all the time that we have today. There's so much that we didn't cover. So a question in the comment section for us to get back to you, my dear viewers. And don't forget to follow Chelsea on Instagram. She is a treasure trove of information. Again, thank you so much for sharing us today, Chelsea.
No worries. Thank you for having me.